Response video to a few videos out there, reaction video, whatever. Professor Anton, the spook guy, to be serious, and even the crazy ghost girl, who made a video satiring the idea of philosophy versus psychology, really. That somehow it's impossible for us to take the emotion out of the human, and of course it is. But it doesn't. There's nothing. It's impossible in terms of how we live our lives. It's not impossible in terms of how we construct and articulate philosophy. Now, Professor Anton uses a lot of gibberish. He deserved to be called on his crap. I've called him on the crap. I didn't do the pwn video like I did with Matt, or even Ian Crossland, because whatever. But yeah, it's gibberish. It's a bunch of made-up words, historicity, and all the rest of this crap, and all it does is cloud and confuse and befuddle brains. It isn't conducive to conveying understanding. And then on To Be Serious, it's always this stupid ego bullshit. Like we're all here in some kind of pissing match or whatever, some gladiator game. Bullshit. Like it's all about egos, and it's not about people defending what they really believe in. And that's bullshit. It's just bullshit. And it's even Grey Text gets in all that crap with all this hierarchy shit and all this gang warfare and all this other bullshit, and it doesn't have anything to do with what people, the tactics people resort to, the keying of a car, for example, or whatever. Yeah, they'll have their little petty reactions to losing an argument. They'll take it personally. Fine, but that's not the point. It's not. Ideally, we should all understand that that's not what we're in the game for. If you're here for that, then yeah, you're in the wrong arena. It's the wrong place. Now that just brings up a South Park episode, because they were making the distinction between real wrestling and professional wrestling. And yeah, either we're going to be real philosophers or we're going to be professional wrestlers' version of philosophy. And it's going to be this stupid, who can one-up somebody else with bullshit rhetoric or bullshit antics. We'll see who we can dress up like a clown, or who we can paint swastikas on, or all that kind of bullshit tactics. Who we can, put in a pink tutu. But anyway, it's so there's so much of that shit going on here. But it's still about the philosophy. It's about the arguments, and about making, back to the ghost girl, this distinction between what we're capable of doing philosophically, what we're capable of saying, uttering, thinking, and what we emotionally are going to feel. And there's so many examples of it. I can say I love my mother. I can say I think my father is the greatest man who ever lived. But I'm not going to say that as a philosophical statement. I'm not going to say it as a truth. And if I'm going to engage in a conversation about the truth, and I'm going to acknowledge that no, my parents aren't better than other human beings walking the street, and it's only because of my association and connection and the fact that my conditioning has been through them that I'm likely to see value in the culture and in the mannerisms and in the personalities they possess, because I'm part of that same fabric. And I can see that prejudice and that bias, and I can just acknowledge its existence and simply say, for the sake of philosophy, no, my mother isn't better than anybody else's mother, and neither is my father. And I can say it as a statement that they have to earn their place as a human being through their actions, through the same way we judge everybody else. They have to be thrown into that basket, and I can't allow my personal bias to own me. And we can do that philosophically. We can make statements. So there's a whole bunch of people here, Professor Anton I put in that category, who are talking psychology. They're talking about how to live life and what kind of perspective, what kind of fairy tale narrative, what kind of bullshit to run inside your brain in terms of your ego and your psychology and what you're thinking and how you're thinking, to make your life easier, or to make you more powerful, more capable, or more competent. And those are all good things to do for people, but it's not philosophy. It's not describing the truth of our existence, what the fuck we're doing here. And if you're going to cloud the two, if you're not going to make a clear distinctions between when you're talking psychology and how to deal with life, and philosophy, which is how to, like I said, the science of discerning our reality. And there's no acceptable description of the reason why we can't separate these two subjects. Some people just say, no, I refuse. There's no life without psychology. There's no life without placating their emotion and their intuition and their conditioning and their bullshit nepotism, which destroys the capacity for us to even engineer a rational economy, because everybody thinks their kids are entitled to a head start. It's just so foul and stupid. But until we separate these things, we're not going to engineer a great society, and we're not going to be able to prevent the things that are the real threats that exist. These people will keep bullshitting, they'll keep lying to themselves about where we are and what we're doing here and what we're made of and what we're capable of emotionally, and how you can even get to some place that these people think humanity ought to get emotionally, and how much harder a road that is than to get people there philosophically. You don't have to condition somebody to get them to understand. Understanding is perfectly accessible. Feeling it, psychologically liking it, is a different story. I mean, it's really hard to change somebody's food preferences or their sexual preferences or some other conditioning, but an idea can change their philosophy, and that's all we have to work with, is to get people to understand some principles, to understand, like I said, acknowledge what we are, and acknowledge the core value, which isn't all this personal ego uniqueness crapola, but the real value is in the experiences consciousness is enduring. The desires, their peculiar nature is kind of irrelevant. The only thing that's relevant is the fact that we are desire machines, and that we need feeding, and that there has to be an efficiency to how we feed on this planet and on each other. Yeah, that's probably enough said. So anyway, yeah. But, everybody's just kind of bailing out. Oh, YouTube isn't an environment. Oh, this, all this whining that somehow the medium fucked up. It's not the medium's fault. The fault is in people's unwillingness to make these distinctions. Unwillingness to make some effort to separate what they want psychologically, and what the demands of honest philosophy require. Oh, anyway, now it's enough. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. If it's not over 10 minutes, I'll put it on YouTube.